Hello and welcome. You're watching The Buck Stops Here and I'm Barkha Dutt. The opposition versus government battle on demonetization has now taken a somewhat surreal twist. This after Rahul Gandhi and the Congress's official Twitter accounts were hacked. Now that could have been for any number of reasons, but the Congress is blaming the BJP and what it's calling the prevalent fascist culture, accusing the Modi government of looking the other way and effectively being responsible for what is happening, even using the word licensed trolls. Why is the Congress blaming the BJP for its online accounts being hacked? In a separate development, the Trinamool Congress today stood up in Parliament and basically insinuated that Mamata Banerjee, the West Bengal Chief Minister's life, had been put in danger. This after an Indigo Airlines flight that she was travelling on was delayed in landing. The Trinamool Congress says that this was an emergency-like situation. Indigo denies this, but the Trinamool today took this battle to Parliament, saying that the Chief Minister's life had been placed in danger. The BJP is hitting back at the opposition. Ravi Shankar Prasad, who is of course the Union Minister, is hitting back particularly on that Congress hack, saying we've done nothing wrong. This is just BJP phobia. Now, as theory after theory is emerging and isn't really stopping, on the program today we'll be asking whether conspiracy theories of both the Congress and the Trinamool are now hijacking the demonetization debate. Is the opposition valid in blaming A, the government for the hack, the BJP for the hack, and B, in suggesting that Mamata Banerjee's life is deliberately being placed in the line of danger? Now, Mamata Banerjee, of course, isn't stepping back. In the last few minutes alone, she has asked the government, is this emergency? This after army officers were posted, according to her, at toll plazas by the centre without informing the state. The army, in an official statement, has said these are just routine exercises and the army is merely following orders. So like we said on the program today, we'll be asking whether conspiracy theories are now hijacking this debate. This as the opposition has led a delegation to meet with President Pranab Mukherjee. Rahul Gandhi, speaking right after it, has spoken of how the voice of the opposition is being silenced in Parliament. All that and more is our big focus, political focus tonight. Now, are conspiracy theories hijacking the demonetization debate? From the Congress blaming the BJP for its hacking of Rahul Gandhi's accounts and the official Congress account online, to let's shift those pictures to what Mamata Banerjee has said in the last 60 minutes or so. Mamata Banerjee saying, is this now officially a general emergency? Earlier it was a financial emergency. Now we look like we're looking at a general emergency. Her party alleging that the Bengal Chief Minister's life was first placed in danger, and now saying, why has the army being placed at toll plazas in Bengal? Let's introduce our panel now. We're joined by Nalin Kohli of the BJP, Jay Panda of the Biju Janata Dal, Mahua Mitra of the Trinamool Congress, and with me in the studio is Saket Modi, who is of course going to explain to us what that hack of the Congress may have been all about. Let me start with you, Mahua Mitra. Isn't the Trinamool Congress going overboard? It was fine as long as you were debating demonetization, but you seem to have taken it to another level. A delay in a flight is now being described as danger to the Chief Minister's life, alleging that this was deliberate. Now, army officers just doing their duty, routine exercises at toll plazas is being called an emergency. You know, aren't you going to lose credibility of the demonetization points that are, many of which are valid, and you have every right to raise as opposition, if you take it to this kind of surreal and bizarre level?
Barkha, it's not Mitra, it's Moitra. Okay. So, okay, now that we come to the main point is that you say that we have hijacked it and we've taken it away from demonetization. I think the main issue of the day, the burning issue of the day is we want the demonetization debate with a vote. We've asked the Speaker, please find a rule under which you can have a discussion followed by a vote. That is our primary agenda in Parliament. Having said that, yesterday, and Mamata Banerjee, when he's talking about a routine delay, please understand this is a chief minister who rides around in an Alto car and stops at every red light, who takes an average of 1 hour and 15 minutes to go from Delhi airport to her residence in South Avenue. She doesn't use reserve lounges, she travels economy. I think she's the only chief minister to do that. So to say that we are unnecessarily making a fuss for a routine delay is, I think, a tad unfair when it comes to the case of Mamta Di. Yesterday, what happened? She was flying back from
I'm
Patna
not saying
to
Mamata
Calcutta,
Banerjee is having a tantrum, Mahua. I'm
Okay.
not saying Mamata Banerjee is having a tantrum. I'm saying why
I'm
get up
let
in
me
Parliament
answer,
and
Barkha.
suggest that this is deliberately placing her in some sort of dangerous situation.
Okay. Because I think the exact words of the Trinamool MP in Parliament were that this is not an insinuation, there are conspiracy theory, there is a school of thought that might say this. I think these were his very words, and I think it's a valid point, because she along with other people on the flight were there. Now the civil aviation minister in the lower house and the junior minister of civil aviation in the upper house both said on the floor of the house that 3 aircrafts, namely SpiceJet, Air India and Indigo, were flying low on fuel, and they've asked for a report. 30 minutes after saying this, Indigo Airlines, on which Mamta Ji was traveling, turned around and said there was nothing. In case there was nothing, and this was supposed to be a miscommunication between the captain and ATC.
Yes.
Now there have been many air crashes in the past where there has been miscommunication between the captain and the ATC. That is one of the great causes for for air crashes. So I think we are perfectly legitimate in raising this in Parliament.
Okay, I want to
actually. It wasn't only us.
I actually want to bring in Jay before Nalin, because Jay is somebody who has flying experience, and I do want to come in on this point, because Indigo has flatly denied that it ever said that there was no fuel in the aircraft. It only said that the extra fuel that it was carrying had an 8-minute longevity. It did not say that it did not have fuel. In fact, that's the Indigo statement.
The ATC lying, Barkha.
Yes, and they say in their statement that the ATC misunderstood. But you know, the debate is not about what happened between Indigo and the ATC. The debate is what's going on in our politics.
Exactly.
Okay, Jay, go ahead.
Exactly. So
Okay, let Jay come in, Mahua. Let Jay come in. Sushmita of the Congress is also here, Sushmita Dev, but I'll start with Ajay.
No, regarding this low fuel issue, I can't comment on this specific issue because I don't have the details, but I can tell you this. Commercial aircraft all carry significantly extra fuel than what is necessary for the journey itself, precisely because of any need to divert because of weather, or lately, as you know, in Delhi and Mumbai, there's such traffic congestion, and particularly due to fog in the winter, that many aircraft are kept circling for a long time. So, and by the way, having adequate fuel on board is taken very seriously. There are checklists to follow. Pilots are held accountable for it. I would be a little surprised if a major airline ran short of fuel on a typical scheduled flight, but I can't comment on this specific issue. I wouldn't know.
Okay, but Jay, speak to the larger point. I think what's happening is that there was a very serious debate around demonetization, which today at least has gone into the realm of Ms. Banerjee saying there's an emergency, her party saying her life is in danger, the Congress account being hacked, both Mr. Gandhi's and the party's. In fact, the Congress has just said that the party has deactivated 200 Twitter accounts. All the accounts, can we just please flash this? All the accounts which had the words INC in them have been hacked. So this is a very serious hack. But the Congress has blamed the government for this. Jay, a quick comment on this, and then I'll bring in Nalin.
As you know, the BJD has been supporting the remonetization move, but we are also very conscious of the difficulties that people are facing. And Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik himself has been monitoring and taking proactive actions to try and expedite the transition as smoothly as possible in Odisha.
Yeah.
Now, regarding this hacking, it's not as if hacking is something unheard of, or that it's a very rare occurrence that we should get surprised. Accounts do get hacked of celebrities, of political people, even of governments. This is it's not uncommon at all.
Yeah.
So to think that this is a conspiracy, I would need more evidence before I can comment on that.
Yeah.
Unless there is specific evidence that there is some government conspiracy, I wouldn't jump to that conclusion without some evidence.
Nalin, I do want to bring you in before Sushmita explains why the Congress is blaming the government, and Mahua has already explained why Mamata Banerjee is blaming the government. But Nalin, the statement by Randeep Surjewala of the Congress, licensed trolls have hacked these accounts. They reflect the prevalent fascist culture, while the Modi government looks the other way.
Well, fascism originated in Italy, just for the matter of record. And I don't think anyone in the BJP has any
Now,
Italian
come
connection.
on. Now, that's also a
I'm
low
sorry.
blow.
It's because
also
that's
low
a
blow.
ridiculous comment. Yes, that's a ridiculous comment. It deserves a comment of the same level. And I'm saying it
Yeah.
absolutely unequivocally. Second is that, to blame everything, and this next comment also is in the same vein. To blame everything, so I mean tomorrow Mr. Rahul Gandhi has an upset stomach, you can't hold the BJP responsible. I think there has to be a limit to where you take a debate. And this is, I think, a limit of the ludicrous. If people want to cross into that, they are entitled. They are a national party. They want to go in that. Wonderful. It's for them. However, in the larger thing is, what should the government of India do? The minister himself took cognizance of it. The police has filed it. This is being taken seriously. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is, after all, a member of parliament. He's of the Parliament of India. So I think that transcends any political identity. That he is a senior leader of his party, that is not missed also. So when you start making these kind of comments, you just degrade the entire political structure to a level that I can't even have words to describe.
Okay, I want to bring
Let's come number 2 to Mamata ji's thing.
Yes, Mamata ji,
I
yes.
don't know, maybe that's a extreme reaction. Mamata ji, that she's a simple person. There are many simple leaders in this country. The Prime Minister himself comes from a humble background. There are other leaders who travel by economy class. It's not as if she's the only one. But I think we should not link it to this larger issue in terms of saying that an airline is trying to, somehow ensure her life is in danger and all. We've all been on flights where we've been 45 minutes, 15 minutes circling over Delhi.
Yeah.
And there's no conspiracy to that.
Yeah.
If there's evidence of it, obviously, that you think the government of India is going to allow anything of that sort to happen to any person who's part of the Indian federal structure? Certainly not. So I think where there is politics, let there be politics, but let's not also look at the discourse going to a level that people lose complete faith in the political discourse.
I think that's a fair point, and I want to bring in Sushmita, and then Jay can come in, and then we'll open it up for Advaita and Saket. Sushmita, on what grounds? I mean, this is such a strong statement, right? You're blaming the prevalent fascist culture. You're calling it licensed trolls. You're saying that the government is looking the other way. In other words, you're directly blaming the government for hacking Rahul Gandhi and the Congress. That's what comes from it. Licensed trolls, licensed by whom? Modi government looks the other way. You're effectively saying the government has licensed these trolls.
See, Barkha, our stand is as followed. How you interpret it, how you read into it, or how the people read into it, or
are you blaming the BJP?
No, we are not blaming the BJP.
Fascist culture.
Is BJP fascist? Is fascism
it's a word
for
BJP. The party uses often for BJP. That therefore, and you said Modi government looks the other way. How is that not blaming the government?
Because the point we want to make, and Mr. Surjewala made today, is this happened in the. It's been 24 hours since this happened. We had Ravi Shankar Prasad going on record to say we are aware of it. We're looking at it.
Yeah.
The question where we blame the Modi government is that if a national party and a national leader of Rahul Gandhi's stature, his account and his party's account can be so vulnerable.
Yeah.
What is this government talking about when he's talking about a cashless society? Because it's a huge coincidence that something like this happens now at this stage when we're talking about digital India, we're talking about going cashless. Maybe it's an ironical thing, but it brings to the forefront that whether India is prepared for all of that.
So you're saying this hacking that has happened not just with Rahul Gandhi. I'm coming, Nalin, half a second. Just clarify this. You're saying this hacking proves that India is unprepared for a digitized economy. That's effectively what you're saying.
This is just one of the reasons why we are not prepared.
I want Nalin to come in briefly, then Jay, and then I want Advaita and Saket to come in.
I think, that comment of the Congress party undoes the credit they try to give the late Rajiv Gandhi about digitalization in terms of computerization. Yahoo was hacked very recently. They call it a state-sponsored hacking. My Yahoo account also, I have to do a verification as late as today. That happened, many weeks ago. Snowden we know about WikiLeaks. I mean, this is happening in the world. The best of the economies with the best of the securities, they get hacked. NGT got hacked and defaced. It took a couple of weeks before we could get orders of it. But to blame the government, to blame the BJP, and to then say that this is going to bring down digital India, what realm are we living in?
Okay, I want to get Jay in. Jay, what's happening here is that between the Mamata Banerjee controversy around her flight and what's happening to the hacking, and the hacking indeed is cause for concern because everybody will want a certain level of privacy to be maintained. But you're right, we have the famous WikiLeaks hacking of the entire Clinton sort of lot in the United States of America. But the Congress is now linking this to demonetization. And the Congress is saying not only are you guys responsible, not only are you guys protecting hackers, which is something that the Congress has said, they're now saying this proves we're not ready for demonetization.
Look, I want to say two things about this, Barkha. Number one, indeed, we must take the security of digital India structures very seriously, and we should in fact take hacking very seriously. But I don't think we should equate that with hacking of Twitter accounts, even if it is 100 or 200 Twitter accounts, because that is not the same thing. Twitter is a private organization, it's a social media, and we must remember something. Twitter accounts get hacked every day all around the world. We have had so many instances of politicians from all parties, of all parties, claiming that their accounts got hacked. We have had journalists claiming that their accounts got hacked. Now, I don't think it's the same thing. I condemn hacking, of course, and we must take the security of bank transactions, governmental data concerning digital India very seriously. But to say that social media accounts hacking is somehow a threat to the nation, I don't think will be acceptable to most people who use social media or the digital economy.
So let me get in Advaita, and then Saket can actually explain to us, is this even hacking in the conventional way that we understand? Advaita, what's going on here? I think it's fair to give the Congress space to say, how the hell did this happen to us? And all those awful homophobic and racist things that were posted on Rahul Gandhi's timeline, absolutely abhorrent. But can the Congress make the leap from there to say, A, we blame the government, B, we blame fascism, 3, we blame trolls, 4, now we blame demonetization?
I think they weaken their own case when they do that, because no one would support or be in favor of anything like this, which is downright cyberbullying. Whether it happens to Rahul Gandhi or it happens to you or to anybody else, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, his account has been hacked. If you want to hear of people whose accounts have been hacked, when it comes to Twitter, it's between the social media user and the social media site. Those are the two parties involved. To conflate this and to say that this has a direct impact on the digital economy is, I think, really kind of sort of trivializing the whole situation.
So you're saying they're trivializing the legitimacy of their own anger
exactly.
in a way. So that's something I'll put to Sushmita. But Saket, what's going on here? Now, we're all using this word hacked very loosely, right? And this is not just Rahul Gandhi's account hacked. This is all of the accounts that had INC in it. Now, you understand this better than all of us. What do you think has happened?
First of all, Barkha, the line which you said that I think that we can give the leverage to Rahul Gandhi to at least say what the hell is happening.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely unfair. I'll tell you why.
Why? You're saying everyone deserves to be hacked.
No, not everybody deserves to be hacked, but everybody has a responsibility which they owe. If you give your username and password of net banking to your secretary and they run away with the money, it's absolutely your fault. You can't blame the bank for that.
So you're suggesting it's an inside job?
I'm not suggesting it inside, but all I'm saying is that there is a responsibility. There is a responsibility that you share with either the social media or the bank or anything that you use online. That's a cost of convenience. It's like saying that somebody falls down from a 60th floor skyscraper and saying that skyscrapers are bad. No, it's their responsibility.
So hang on, you're actually saying that the breach that has occurred because somebody had access to the passwords of the Congress account and Rahul Gandhi's account.
So I'll explain you technically
this is not a direct hack into, it's not a hack in the way WikiLeaks hacked John Podesta's emails.
Absolutely. So I'll give you a couple of things here. No, that what you said can happen out here also. When you access Twitter, now you see there are two parties involved who share the responsibility of the security.
Yeah.
One is of course Twitter itself. Out here, because we're only talking about a couple of accounts being hacked, it is safe to assume that Twitter itself was not hacked. Because then it would have been a case like Yahoo, where 500 million out of 750 million accounts were hacked. That was a vulnerability on the Yahoo side. So it's safe to assume it was not Twitter. The other person responsible or the party responsible.
So what was hacked then?
Exactly. So the other party which was responsible is the person who's making the account. Now there are multiple things that are involved when you talk about making an account. The first time that you go to a Twitter, you give your email ID and you get a verification link on that, which you click and create a password and you suddenly have an account. Now there are two ways of hacking it. Either directly you can do a spear phishing on the Twitter account itself, or the email server on which the emails are being interchanged. If that gets compromised, then any hacker can simply go to Twitter, click on forgot my password, and the verification link will come to his email, which he has an access to.
But then that means the email has been hacked.
There is a possibility, either the email or directly the Twitter account using a spear phishing attack, or there is a third possibility that there's a computer where both the accounts of the INC and Rahul Gandhi
So why is
parallelly
Rahul
being
Gandhi
used.
accountable for this? Before I take this to Sushmita, you
Because
said
this
it's
is-
not. You said he can't really. When I said it's
Because
unfair, that the
because
hacking
the
is unfair.
server of INC is the responsibility of the
so,
Congress.
So I want to bring in Sushmita and Mahua, and then I'll take it back to Jay and Nalin. I think there's an important point that Advaita is making, that you're diminishing the credibility of your own protest, both on the hacking and the otherwise robust debate around demonetization, by building this conspiracy theory that the government is coming after us.
It's not a conspiracy theory. I'm making a larger point, and I'll repeat myself. Modi government seems to think if you give a passbook in someone's hand, he understands the banking system. It doesn't work that way. We are saying demonetization per se, good policy, implementation bad. Financial inclusion hasn't even reached to the
why are
rural.
you linking it to the hacking? That's what I'm asking.
Can I just
Yes.
finish? I'm not linking it to the hacking. All I'm saying is we made a larger point today outside Parliament, not inside Parliament, to say that we are going to have a cashless society,
Yeah.
and we have arrived at digital India. We are far from it. We are a country where we don't even have enough bank branches in the village. And to say that I am undermining Rajiv Ji legacy, that's not the idea. All I'm saying is that you can have a cashless economy. Why not? But there should have been more preparation.
Okay.
And I just want to say one thing to Saket. It's very easy. I mean, I understand technically where you're coming from. If it was so simple, then we needn't have filed an FIR. Is that what you're saying? That we are responsible for not maintaining the server properly? See, everybody does not have the technical know-how or the savviness.
the
Yeah,
second
there is-
la-
We filed an
you're-
FIR is for the police to
You're talking about the
investigate.
largest
But it's like
party
saying
in the country.
but it's like saying you can't blame Julian Assange for Hillary's emails or the Democrats' emails being hacked. They were responsible for their own emails
Of
being
course,
hacked.
Democrats were responsible for the security of this thing. Of course, Julian Assange shouldn't have hacked it. But then, if you have a house where you're doing exchange of money,
It's not a
So
unilateral act. You know.
let me just get Mahua in. Mahua, I come back to this conspiracy around the flight. You know, it really bothers me that our debates, I mean, I think we should be debating what Amartya Sen says versus what Nandan Nilekani says on demonetization. Instead, we have entered this surreal space where we are thinking who hacked whom, who delayed what flight. This is not a intellectually robust debate or a conversation to have.
Barka, I couldn't agree with you more. We've been on your show for the last 3 weeks telling you that this is a demonetization debate that we need to have, and the BJP is shying away from this on the floor of the House. We've been saying for the last 3 weeks since November
at where the
16th,
debate
since
is
the
gone
House
now.
and the prorogue
Look
and
at
the
where
House
this
was
conversation
in
is
session.
going.
Excuse me, so they are not. Just a second, Barka, please. There are 3 things to remember here. It's the BJP that is setting the agenda for this debate, and you are falling into it by taking this away from the main issue, which is still demonetization.
I am not
Even
taking
today,
it
our
away.
main
I'm
agenda on
saying
the
you
floor of the
guys have
House was
taken
that
it
we should
away.
have a
I've been
debate.
debating demonetization
No,
every day.
Barka.
You know that.
Barka, and I've been joining you on it. Trinamool's main point is still demonetization. We need to have a debate on the floor of the House, which the BJP is shying away from. Number one. The second thing, I think when you're talking about the army, that it's just routine procedure for army officers and army jawans to be present at toll booths, I think that's laughable. In the history of India, in the history since I have seen these toll booths in Bengal. Tell me, in your life, in my life, we all drive, we all go through toll booths. How many times have you seen armored gunmen from the Indian Army at toll booths? Are they trying to tell us this is routine procedure? The law and order machinery in this country post-demonetization has sort of disintegrated to a point where it is necessary to have the army at toll booths the day before the toll plaza start again.
Okay.
Isn't that laughable? Do you think the government doesn't have to answer to that? I'm not making this up. This is something which is a fair point. You have to concede that, Barka.
Okay, now the point is the army has said, and I have no reason to disbelieve it, that this is a routine exercise done on orders. I do not believe that there's a coup taking place in this country, or that the army is now marching to Bengal to depose some government.
But tell me something, Barka.
Yes.
Tell me something, Barka. How many democracies in the world do we drive through today in the West or anywhere, unless you're going through
I
a
need to
complete
get the others now,
authoritarian
Mama.
dictatorship or
I need to get the
remnants
others.
of
Jay,
Soviet
Nalin, and then
Russia,
Advaita.
where you see armored gunmen at
Okay.
toll booths.
Okay, let me just get Jay and Nalin in. Jay, I'll start with you. There is an impasse in Parliament, right? There were earlier demands for the Prime Minister to speak, to take part in the debate. That seems to have fallen through. The next casualty could be GST, unless it comes in as a money bill. Amit Mitra, Bengal Finance Minister, has made that clear. When Mahua says you're deflecting from the main debate, why aren't you debating demonetization? I would say I'd be very happy to debate demonetization, but when a chief minister alleges emergency and threat to her life, when the main opposition party says the government has effectively licensed trolls to hack our account, how do we ignore it?
Barkha, you are absolutely right that when major parties make such claims of conspiracies, then you have to at least discuss it. You can't just dismiss it outright. But be that as it may, I think the real issue is why is demonetization not being discussed in Parliament? And I want to make a very important point here. Barkha, you know, for more than 10 years, I've been advocating reforms in Parliament, and for a simple reason. Our parliamentary rules go back to the 19th century, which depends on consensus, which means both government and opposition have to agree to the agenda for the speaker to exercise her powers. Now, either government or opposition can disagree, and they are disagreeing on whether it should be a voting debate or a non-voting debate. Now, the issue is all other legislatures in the world, whether it is the American Senate or House, even the UK's own system, have evolved in the last 100 years. It is not left to consensus. It is left to rules. We should have straightforward rules. Say, for example, if 50 MPs sign on a petition, then the matter must be discussed. And if 100 MPs sign on it, then it must be a voting discussion. So this takes discretion out of the system, and it takes the consensus out of the system, because it is not realistic to expect government and opposition to have consensus. That is the root cause of the problem.
Okay, I want to just bring in Advaita and then we'll go to Nalin. Advaita, the fact is that there are things, very serious things to debate in demonetization. For example, all day today, we've had this confusion over what the norms are for keeping gold. And I personally find it quite offensive that there should be a distinction drawn between married and unmarried women. Till it was told to me that this is actually a 1994 law that has been held since then, except a clarification today that this will now be at the discretion of an officer conducting the raid and so on. But we've got waylaid into some completely different conversation. Who do we blame for that? And do you agree with Saket? Because I'm not sure I fully do, that somehow we are all responsible for the fact that our accounts are not hacked.
Well, I think we need to be a little more responsible online. You know, I advocate that constantly, you know, be it cyber hygiene, be it our own behavior online when it comes to interacting with other people, you know, abusive behavior, things like that. So I think there is a certain element of responsibility that we all hold. But there's a difference between social media and data security. You know, those are totally two different things. And in India, we don't have enough laws that protect data security, you know, and that I think would be a legitimate concern when it comes to the digital economy, for example, when we had 33 lakh debit cards compromised just 2 months ago, you know, across banks. You know, for me, that is something that should have come up in Parliament. That is something that should be taken seriously. That is a serious concern when we talk about, you know, cashless economy, not the fact that someone's account has been hacked. You know, who really joins a very august club of Mark Zuckerberg and John Dorsey and the guys who run the biggest social media platforms in the world. So I think there's just this trivialization.
Okay, you're saying the opposition is trivializing it.
Absolutely.
You're saying the hacking is no big deal. I guess, Sushmita, on that, but Nalin, I want to bring you in. We were just saying that there are things to discuss about demonetization, like these very confusing gold norms on which there have been 3 clarifications today. So actually, it might well be a boon in disguise for you that the conversation has got hijacked by the hacking controversy or by Mamata Banerjee proclaiming a potential emergency.
Actually,
I think this suits you. I think this suits you perfectly.
No, I think it's a boon, and I think it's a disservice to the Indian political structure, because it becomes amusing. People actually look at it with a much lighter vein than it should.
It becomes a bit of a joke.
So I think, you know, and, I mean, fair enough, that would be also a valid point. In effect, you know, a debate is always welcome. The Prime Minister also was in the House. But you can't have a debate with all the noise. If the opposition is so interested in a debate, they should sit down and just allow the debate to happen. I mean, who's running from a debate, and why should it? And Parliament has. We've had fractious situations. We've had during this tenure also in this Lok Sabha, where a lot of noise has taken place, fights have taken place, but work has transacted. There have been great debates also. So it's not that Indian democracy can't rise to it. And I have great hope in it, irrespective of whatever happens. All these side stories, because this is not the main story, I still have faith it will happen.
So Shweta,
and at the end of it, the Indian citizen is now in an informed age. But that's, I think, the biggest thing we need to see. You look at even average people on the street with phones. There's so much of information around them. They live in this infosphere that they are going to see through all these arguments. Whether it's us, whether it's them, whether it's anybody else. I think they are looking for substance, and if there is no substance, they will make their mind up.
I just want to push Saket briefly on this thing that we are all responsible for the safety of our accounts. I don't get that, because the fact is that there are technically evolved people like yourselves who can hack into any account, no matter how many times I change my password and how many numbers and lowercase and uppercase and whatever the hell I mix it up to be, and not my birth date and not my cat's name and not, you know, whatever the usual rubbish.
Other, you know, phishing attacks that we get, you know,
Yeah.
mail and lottery tickets.
I know,
and
how are
whatnot.
we responsible for the safety of our accounts, the politics aside?
So Barkha, I didn't say you're only responsible. All I said is you're also responsible.
Of course.
So that's all I'm saying.
What
So
do you think? What is your guesstimate as to what's happened here?
simple guesstimate is Congress was not responsible enough to go ahead and make sure that they spend enough money so that they can buy secured servers on which the emails have been hosted, and in a simple way that has been hacked. And people have, and if that is the case, because I told you there can be two things, either the server's been hacked or the account only has been hacked. If the server's been hacked, what we saw as the account takeover
Right.
is only the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, I need to start taking last comments. Jay, let me start with you, Sushmita. The fact is, you heard Advaita saying, don't make such a big deal. Right? You're saying that? Don't make such a big deal?
Pretty much.
200 accounts deactivated, which have INC in them.
but this
If
is
you were a political party, wouldn't you make a big deal?
I would be worried about it. I would definitely, but it wouldn't be something that I would raise in Parliament or link
We
to
did
something
not raise
like
it in Parliament.
demonetisation, you know. So that is not something necessarily.
Sushma, I think that's the problem. That it's being
First
linked
of
to
all,
the larger
Barkha, I
debate.
want to say
That is the thing.
Mamata ji's problem with the flight came up in Parliament. Rahul Gandhi ji's Twitter account hacking was not on the floor of the House.
Yes.
We should set the record straight. Secondly,
But
what
it's a
I'd
very
like-
strongly worded response.
Yes,
when
it
you link
is.
it to
Because,
fascism and
Barkha,
licensed
there is
trolls,
a view
it is a
that-
political statement.
Of
then.
course, there is a view in this country that trolling and that indoctrination that it's okay
Yes, trolling is a
going on in
separate
this
debate.
country.
I agree
and
with
I'm
that.
sorry, BJP is very much in the forefront of this
But
trend.
you have accused the BJP of protecting the hackers. Randeep Surjewala in his
Yes,
comment
and I'll tell
has
you why he said it. He said it under the circumstances when that bite was taking is because when an MP of the BJP went on the television to say, oh, this is an insider job, why are you blaming others? In that context, he said it.
Okay.
That's when he gave that
Okay,
bite.
I want to bring in, before I bring in Nalin, Mahua, you've been trying to make a point. Mahua.
Yeah, Barkha, I think the Trinamool's point has been from day one that we needed a debate on demonetization, and the point that Jay made was extremely valid. I think we needed 50 signatures, we've got 200, so we definitely want it under voting, and we don't see why the BJP is shying away from that. We want the debate to be on demonetization. That is the primary agenda of our party, and I think the primary agenda of this nation at this point, because we see that the demonetization situation has taken the country to a point where you need armed army gunmen to guard toll booths, which we've never seen in the history of democratic
Okay,
India.
let me push
And I
you on
think
that,
that's something
Mahua.
we
Before I
should
get
be
Nalin
ashamed
to
of.
respond, let me push you on that. You talk about these armed army officers at toll plazas. What do you think is happening? If it
Why are
isn't
they
a
so
routine
worried?
exercise,
What are they
what-
wanting? Worried that you get exposed? What's the story?
Okay, tell me.
yeah, Mahua, what do you think is happening?
I'll get exposed. Okay, these number one, Barkha, I seem to notice this every evening where the BJP social media leaders all seem to be sitting there trying to get in a comment in sideways about somebody getting exposed. Nobody's worried about getting exposed, sir. I think you should look at yourself in the mirror, number one. And number two, getting back to the point, I think what is happening is extremely clear. Police and the Home Department depend upon the state. There is no reason for an army to have routine exercises at toll booths. There is absolutely
Okay,
no
you're not
reason.
telling
The
me
army
what you think
reports
is
to the
happening,
Ministry of
but I'm
Defense,
on the
which
clock
reports
now.
to the BJP government.
Okay, now Nalin.
So
Nalin.
I think that there's a breakdown of machinery here.
Okay,
they
Nalin.
can't control they're scared of what can happen tomorrow when they open
I
the
have
toll
just two
booths.
comments to make.
No, but I have a question before you
No,
make
but
those
before
comments.
that, just
okay,
two
okay, make
comments.
your comments. Yeah.
Yeah, just the first one is, I think each one of us does have a mirror in the house. So I don't think it's anyone on this panel doesn't have a mirror to look into. And number two is, I think people or responsible governance doesn't come with conspiracy theories, wherein, a chief minister of a very large state and a democratically elected chief minister believes traveling by a commercial airline, and one of the largest commercial airlines, that her life is at threat and there's a conspiracy behind
Okay,
it.
I have to
So
ask
I
you
think,
something
these
else.
are charges.
I'm-
Let's now, I think, rise
7
I'm
up.
on
days
my last
ago,
minute.
Now,
the
what's your
Prime
question,
Minister
Barkha?
of this country,
Okay, listen.
Yes,
this is
what's
the
your
Prime
question,
Minister
Barkha?
of this country stood 10 days ago and said that there was a conspiracy to murder him. Does the BJP spokesperson say this in the
he
light of
never
the Prime
said there's a
Minister's
I think
comments?
that's a fair
to
question,
murder.
Alan.
Prime Minister
I think
said
that's a fair
But
question.
you know, I must
Mr.
give it to
Modi
you.
did
I
also
must-
say
I
that
must
they
give-
may
I
actually,
must
they may
grant
actually
that-
even take my
I
life.
must actually
That's a
grant
fair
something.
point. If
I've been
Mamata
resisting.
Banerjee's
I've been
statement was
actually
hyperbolic,
resisting
wasn't
something
Mr.
through
Modi's
the show.
answer. That's a fair
Barkha,
point.
I've been actually
Yes.
resisting a comment through the show, but I'll finally make it.
Okay.
You know, I have a feeling the company that anyone keeps leads to delusion. Now, there is at least one leader in this country who's delusional on a daily basis. So, I mean, I'm worried that anyone who keeps his company seems to be getting, you know, also making comments in the same realm.
Okay, hang on. You're saying Mamata Banerjee in the company of Arvind Kejriwal. That's the insinuation, but you didn't answer my question.
I've not given any names.
You didn't
You are
answer my
free to-
question.
you
You
are
didn't
free to
answer my
assess as you
question.
like.
Mahua
Please answer
raised
the
a
question,
point.
sir.
Now let me
Please
speak.
answer the
Mahua,
question.
let me speak. Nalin, Mahua raised a point that if Mamata Banerjee alleging danger to her life is a conspiracy theory and this hyperbolic comment, then wasn't Mr. Modi saying that my life could be taken in the same category? Please
I must
answer.
say one thing. I must say one thing, that Mamata ji is probably fortunate, and many other leaders in this country are fortunate not to share the same kind of threat perception that Narendra Modi ji has been having against his life for a long time.
Okay.
And I would pray nobody should have that kind of threat
I'm giv-
perception, because we, after all, we are, as Indian citizens, why should we ever be on a threat perception in which somebody from across the border wants to, you know, kill us for some silly, unmotivated, absolutely wrong decision?
I want to give Advaita the last word. The fact that the Congress today blames the BJP, the fact that trolling has got mixed up in this whole issue, there is a global debate going on over how politically organized the social media space is. And it's quite clear from all of us who are on social media. You can immediately spot who's a BJP wala, who's a Kejriwal follower, who's a Trinamool follower, who's a Congress follower, right? So is there some legitimacy to now step back and say, okay, maybe the social media space has been hijacked by politics and political trolls of all parties?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I get trolled by everybody. I've been abused by everybody I can think of. I just don't respond to it online or share it, because I think that just generates more abuse. But I think political Twitter is a problem. I think there's a huge problem when it comes to that. You're feeling increasingly violated. I mean, right now we have the debate going on about alt-right in the West, you know, and how they've been sort of kicked off Twitter. Parallelly, in India, you have a lot of so-called right-wing accounts that are not verified.
Or you have right-wing accounts who will troll anybody who they think is not on their side. It works both ways.
Both ways. But you'll also have a lot that are not verified. So, you know, there's this kind of discretion that creeps in on these things. So there is a lot of politics involved in Twitter. I think it is a political medium. I think we need to recognize that. And once you accept that, then, you know, kind of
you
deal
can
with
adjust
it accordingly.
your presence on it.
And the other thing on the hacking, I just think BJP people have more engineers on their team than the Congress does.
Sushmita,
You know,
I'll allow
if
you
you
10
look at
seconds
profiling.
there.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I'll allow you 10 seconds.
he sounded like, hire me, you need someone better. That's what Saket sounded like.
That's the
But
best
we
pitch
are
I
on
can
the
make.
job.
That's the
don't
best
worry.
pitch he can make. All right, at least one person leaves this program happy tonight. Mahua, Sushmita, Advaita, Nalin, Jay and Saket, thank you so much for joining us. On the buck stops here, this debate continues, by the way. 200 Twitter accounts of the Congress have now been suspended, all of them that have the word INC on them, and we have to see where this goes. We do also have to acknowledge that social media is an increasingly politicized space. Thanking our panel tonight. Thank you very much for joining us on the buck stops here.